Good morning and welcome to Zarnia.
People could be watching it at night. You don't know.
Good evening and welcome to Zarnia.
No, they could be watching it at night. Doesn't mean they are watching it at night.
No.
They could be watching it any time.
This is Zarnia.
That was pretty good, actually. For Games and Geekery, I'm John.
I am Adhil.
And we're
Kings of the world.
bored to be wild.
Kings to be wild.
Okay, well, you can be the king because we're playing Regicide, and this game
No.
is in fact about king murdering. Regicide is very different to the other games we've reviewed right now.
Yeah, you can
For one
play it
thing,
with a normal deck of cards.
a normal deck of cards. You don't need anything special to do it.
No.
Yeah.
Well, a little bit of math, a little bit of like counting.
You think maths is special?
Yeah, for you.
Yeah, that's true.
We know about your counting, John.
Listen, man, I don't want to play a numbers game.
No.
So how bad is the maths in this game?
Not that bad. Not
Okay.
that bad. Just a little bit of counting.
Okay, so before we get into the downside of having to do counting and
Yeah.
mathematics in a game, what's Regicide about?
So it's essentially taking on a set of villains, which start with the jacks, and then move on to the queens, and then eventually to the kings. And hence the name, Regicide. So once you've killed off all the kings, you win the game. But the key thing is that you're doing it together. We're doing it as a team.
All right.
So we win or lose together,
Rivals who have to put aside their differences to work together
pretty much.
to take down 12 bad bosses. The setup is very, very simple. The 12 face cards are put in their own deck here in order, jacks, queens, kings, and all the other cards are in this draw pile, themed as the tavern. There's like a lot of D&D inspired action running through this whole game.
The game itself comes from board game design competition that was running on BGG. They do these all the time, and they give you some of these restrictions. So for this one, the restriction was do a game with 54 cards. With a standard deck of cards. I think what they came up with was really great.
It's very rare to actually have such a compelling game come out of nowhere with a set that you can play anywhere, anytime.
And it's an opportunity for us to go into the drawers where we've got all these cards lying around. And I'd almost forgotten that I had some of these decks of cards.
You have some wildly weird cards.
They're very cool. I got this for a birthday at some point. It is a little weird.
But let's get aside that we are playing with a normal deck of cards, even though there is like an amazing set of cards. Great art by an artist called Sketch Goblin. You know?
And these guys are from New Zealand, right?
Yeah. The Badgers from Mars.
Brett.
Yep.
Jermaine.
Well, obviously.
Yeah, well, you're here.
Badgers from Mars. Present Murray.
So depending on the player number, each of you gets a hand of cards. Speed this up, please, editor. I feel like I gave too many cards, but anyway, we're just demonstrating, so it's fine. All right, and your goal is to deplete the face card on top of this deck of all its hit points.
So the jack's going to hit you for 10, but has 20 health.
The way you do damage is by playing cards, and the way you take damage is by discarding cards.
And each suit has a slightly different power. The clubs help you to double the damage. The spades will prevent damage, sort of a shield. Hearts will allow you to put cards from the discard pile back into the deck, and the diamonds allow you to draw cards off the top of the deck. So really simple idea, so beautifully implemented.
And a nice twist on that is that each of the face cards of that suit is immune to that power. So you've got to be quite strategic in when you're going to play your suits of what value in order to defend against damage and be able to refill your hand. Otherwise, you're going to left high and dry. The game ends either by killing the last king or much more usually when you run out of cards, when one player runs out of cards in their hand and can't discard. That happens, the whole game's over.
Yeah, and it can be so frustrating when the face card is blocking a specific suit. So they have also implemented a joker. If you play the joker for that round, you nullify that immunity that the face card has.
It's very cunning. It's a very cunning mechanic and works really well. You really just want that joker to come at just the right time, and when it does, it can be a real clutch move. Game changer.
Now, one of the things we haven't said, the thing that really makes this game difficult and in fact, in some ways, probably attractive to the two of us, is that you can't communicate with each other.
Yeah.
So you're not allowed to tell people that you have the cards to take on this particular villain. You're not allowed to say anything about the cards that you have.
Only public knowledge can be discussed. So if you've got 2 cards in your hand, you can be like, well, I've only got 2 cards in my hand. But you can't say what those cards are. You can't help coordinate or strategize. Only open information.
Unless you've just played the Joker.
And even then, you can only say if it would be good for you to take it on or bad. You can't give specifics. You don't like cooperative games, Adhil.
No, it's really... Although, in preparing for this, I sort of thought about some of the co-op games that I've played. And the ones I have played, I've really enjoyed. But there are lots of others that I haven't played specifically because they're co-op, right? So there's one of the most popular games of the last few years was Pandemic Season 1, so Pandemic Legacy. And I had no interest in playing it, partly because it was a completely cooperative game. But maybe there's something there that we need to discuss around cooperative games?
Adhil, I don't say this often enough to you, because it's not often true. But that's a great idea, and we should do that video.
Oh, thanks.
Discussing cooperative games. I'm glad I came up with that thought. So I'm going to jump back to what you were saying about the difficulty and the frustration of this game. This game is not easy. You're going to lose more often than you win. And that's what I love about it, actually.
Yeah, and with cooperative games, I think we've said this before in some of our previous reviews, they have to be difficult to keep you interested, right? If you're going to win on the first try, you're probably not going to try this game again. So it is hard to win, and especially when you've got more players, it's really difficult to kind of coordinate and make sure that the right people are playing at the right times. Because one of the things you can do is you can skip your turn. You're incentivized to defeat the villain with exactly the number of hit points that it takes to
Just another clever little mechanical twist that really brings this game to another level.
And you're incentivized by the fact that that villain then comes to your side if you take them out exactly on the right number.
Perhaps magic zombies, perhaps you've broken a spell over them. I don't know the flavoring, but suddenly
But there's
he's on
some
your
flavor
side.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's great when you know that the next card on the deck is going to be a Queen of Hearts, and you can bring it in and use it to its full potential.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Chef's kiss.
It's what makes winning this game so good. The fact that it's hard to do. Hard games can also be quite long, but this game is quite easy to pick up. The rules are pretty simple and intuitive, and you can just dive straight in. Like a round of the games takes, what, half an hour?
Very quick. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, depending on, sometimes people lose much quicker than that, but it usually is around about a half hour.
It is so nail-biting when you get down to like the final king. You've got a couple of cards in your hand and you don't know if you're gonna make it.
Yeah.
I have felt such surges of joy being around the table with people, and you lay down the card, the king is dead, and everyone just erupts, stands up, and cheers. It's wonderful. Yeah.
That wasn't when I was around.
You didn't win with we didn't win, unfortunately. All right, that's it. What are the downsides of this game?
The one thing is that it can be a little fiddly if you're trying to remember, okay, so how much damage have we done? How much is still left? Is the Queen 15 or 20, or how much is left? So it would be great if they had something to manage that.
Well, Adhil, I've got great news for you. They do.
Are you tired of getting a headache from counting points? Do you struggle with basic maths and dread keeping score during game night with family and friends? Well, worry no more, because we have the perfect solution for you. Introducing the Regicide Companion app. With the Regicide Companion app, keeping track of points is a breeze. Simply input the cards played by each player and let our app do the rest. But don't just take our word for it. Here's what some of our satisfied customers have to say.
I used to dread keeping score during game night, but now I actually enjoy it.
The Regicide Companion is so good at counting, I could lick it.
The Regicide Companion app makes taking down a monarchy fun.
When the Regicide Companion app came out, my job became more difficult.
So why wait? Download the Regicide Companion now and make your monarchy murder math-free.
This game has given so much joy, and it's free. It's out there, the rules are out there, you can play with a standard deck of cards, and I just love that ethos. It just shows like such a depth of love of games.
We love it, and everyone that we've taught has loved it.
It's a great pick up and play game, so why not pick it up and play it? And maybe come back here and let us know what you thought of Regicide.
We'd really love to hear if you've played it, if someone's taught it to you, if you've taught it to somebody else. What do you think of the game?
And how many kings did you murder?
Ooh.
What? Why is that ooh? Is that
Do we talk about murder?
murdering kings? It's like right there in the title. It's like Regicide.
It sounds so much more classy.
Oh, yes. Much more classy
When you say it in Latin.
than
just,
king murder.
when you talk for him.
All right, so please like, subscribe, and come back. Tell us what you thought of the game. Big thanks to our patrons, and yeah, check out our Patreon if you want to, be one of those supporters.